I'm your host, Jason Tartick, and welcome to Trading Secrets. We talk all things money on this podcast, and we're teaching all the stuff we just weren't taught in the classroom. Nothing supports this show more than liking, commenting, and of course, subscribing. Welcome back to another episode of Trading Secrets. Today we are joined by Cam Fordham. Cam is the mastermind behind some of the biggest digital marketing campaigns in the entertainment and sports history. From helping artists and athletes building their online presence to running an agency that connects global brands with massive audiences. Cam's story is all about vision and execution. What started as a few digital partnerships in the music space has evolved into a full-service creative powerhouse, managing content for some of the most recognizable names in the world. Today, we're talking about the business of engagement, how digital media makes money, how influencer deals are structured, and how Cam built one of the most connected agencies in entertainment and in the industry. Cam, thank you so much for being on Trading Secrets.
Thanks for having me, Jason.
It's a long time coming, man. We've been talking about this for a while.
We've been talking about this for a year or two, and super happy it worked out, and great to see you. Good to be here.
I remember, I don't think I've ever told you this story. 2020, I was just starting to think about starting our little boutique talent agency, right. And one of my buddies in town was like, have you met Cam? And I said, you know, I've heard his name around, but I haven't met him yet. And he's like, the guy's everywhere. And this guy's dad owns a private jet. And we were pulling into the airport because we were just coming from his place in Florida. And there, literally, as he said it 10 minutes before, you're there, you're like filming something with a jet. You had 4 clients. I'm like, is that the guy you were just telling me about? He's like, yeah. Hilarious. You have made one of the biggest splashes I've seen in this space. Everyone listening right now, you think of an actor, you think of an athlete, you think of someone who is relevant at the top of their game. And I'm not talking, you know, C, B list. I'm talking the biggest players. You're with them. You're there. You're killing it. And this all started in 2016. In 2016, when you started it, was this the vision that you're currently living today?
You know, I always knew it had a lot of potential. We kind of were just going with the flow and working hard and doing a lot of favors, and it's a lot of teamwork. It's a lot of effort. You know, I have really good business partners. You know, we all do different things. We all have different personalities, but we balance each other out super well. You know, starting in 2016 in Atlanta, you know, we started with, you know, a few rappers in Atlanta, helping them out with merch and meet and greets.
Who are the rappers you
et cetera? So Waka Flocka, T.I., and then it just kind of went from there. You know, we started, you know, branching off into other genres, and then brands came to play. You know, we saw that you had the CAAs, the WMEs, the UTAs that represented talent. They were very good at doing so. You had the Havases and the Densus that focused on out of home and traditional commercials, but you didn't have a lot of companies in the space that represented digital first content, socials, talent. Yeah. And so we wanted to represent the brands.
Interesting. So right from the onset, you were like, okay, we see those players like CAA and WME. They're working with, you know, the Tom Brady's, the George Clooney's.
Sure.
We're going to do it different. We're going to go right to the brands. So you started working with the brands. And again, you guys started in 2016. Dude, I talk to brands today and they're still like not understanding social media. So back then it had to be even harder sell. What were some of the conversations like when you started getting going for the brands to be like, I need to be on top of this?
We focused on culture. Back then, there wasn't a lot of benchmarks or KPIs you can really look into or measure. You know, it came over time on how you measure the ROI and spend. So it was a lot of selling at first, but as we started making impact and motion, people started to catch on. And, you know, during COVID, you know, that's where we really hit our stride. So a lot of these brands pulled a lot of their out of home, you know, their radio spots, their billboards, and really focused on digital. Yeah. And that's where we kind of took it up a notch, went from 25 employees to 100 in the span of a year and a half.
Wow. And how many employees do you guys have now? Right?
We have 115.
Okay.
So offices, Atlanta, Nashville, New York, and a team in LA.
That is crazy. One of the things a lot of our entrepreneurs will ask is when you get started, do you self-fund or do you use OPM, other people's money? How have you kind of navigated the idea of raising capital while growing, and what's that looked like from your vantage point?
People raise money. People bootstrap. We decided to bootstrap. You know, there was a couple years where we just didn't take really a lot of salary and kept pumping it in. And then, you know, like I said, we exploded during COVID around 2020, 2021. Yeah. And that's when we started really excelling.
That is pretty good. If you think about that, you bootstrap, don't take salaries, take profitability, reinvest it.
Correct.
Then you own the large percentage, and now you look how big the company's become.
No doubt. So it's a little hard at first.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not comfortable.
You're struggling
but
at
then,
first a little
I
bit.
feel like if you keep the mission,
Yeah,
stay focused, stay in your lane, it will work out.
exactly. Now, you guys have worked with a wide range of clients. You got Netflix, Amazon, NBC Universal, MLS, and then you've executed campaigns with some of the biggest influencers in the world: Drewski, Alex Earl, Theo Von, Snoop Dogg, Kygo. The list goes on. One thing I'll never forget is a conversation we had at Raising Cane's. And I had the pleasure of having Todd on the podcast and talking to him a little bit, but he credited a lot of some of the marketing strategies to you. And I came to you, I'm like, dude, is that like, were you really the one that like thought about this a lot? Because I think what's so crazy and impressive with Raising Cane's is they took a concept like chicken fingers.
Right.
And if there's any form of relevancy, and you mentioned it earlier, any form of pop culture, they are there. Talk to me about what that strategy looked like as you were coming up with it.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually went to LSU. That's where I initially met Todd.
Okay.
So I noticed, I think it was about 2018, they hadn't really done many things with talent. They weren't really involved with social as much.
Yeah.
And I just saw an opportunity. So I went to Todd. We started helping him with socials, and it kind of gradually went from there. But I'm going to credit Todd. He really understands culture and relationships and people and digital, and he thinks outside the box and he listens. And they combining with, he has an amazing team. His co-CEO AJ Kumran's a hell of an operator, so everything kind of fell in place because all those boxes were checked. So it made our lives a little bit easier in our jobs. So I just think Todd understanding that, the food quality being good, and the ways we can plug and play them in within culture, it's worked. And I mean, it's crazy how far they've grown. I think when we started, they were at like 200 plus restaurants. Now they're at over 1,000.
Wild. And I think
in the span of 6-7 years.
Yeah. And I think I read something recently that his net worth is now over 20 billion. You can't make it up. But a lot of it has to do with the product. A lot of it has to do with operations. A lot of it has to do with marketing. Of all the things, what moment to you has been like, everyone's talking about it? This was a moment that I can't believe the numbers and the return we saw from a marketing perspective.
So what we just did with Perplexity AI, their top AI company, they have a new browser called Comet.
Okay.
So it's basically like ChatGPT. It's more task-based, et cetera. But, we were set to help them launch the app and bring in talent into the fold. And, our benchmarks were about 200 million impressions and views. And I think we hit, as of a week ago, 425.
Wow.
With our spend. So I think we, they really took it up a notch with that launch, and that company is really looking to make some plays, and
that's impressive
and exceed.
Perplexity AI, stay on top of it. Now, you and I before the interview, I was asking you about F1 because I just know if there's an event, Cam's going to be there and he's going to be kicking ass at the event. But you got F1, you got the Super Bowl, you got the Hamptons. There's so many events that happen on an annual basis. Which of those would you say create the most impressions? Is it the Super Bowl?
I think so. I think Super Bowl is our elite event. Okay. We have suites at the stadium that we bring talent in for, but also we have these night parties from 12 to 5 a.m. We're not competing with any of the other big brands, during that 8 p.m. to 12 p.m. hour. So we own the night. So I feel like, we have a good group of people that come in. We say no photos, people end up doing it anyways, but that whole weekend is super special. We give a world-class experience with, flying people in on private planes and, putting them up, et cetera, in a really nice hotel. And I just think those moments are, people get to meet people and network and people that they haven't been able to get in front of before. And they're just special.
With all these experiences you've been to, tell me about like one of the best marketing tactics or lessons that you've learned through all these experiences that have been effective.
Yeah, I think with talent in the events, you try to pair talent with other people in their genre. Yeah. Say it's a Drewski and a Theo Von, they're comfortable, they understand, they speak the same language. So you'll end up, getting good, positive feedback and interaction between the both of them. Artists are the same way, actors and actresses. So I think pairing people within the genre
Yeah.
helps.
I like that. That's really smart because you take like two comedians, they might have different audiences, but you put them together, it's like a big, big splash. So when you're working with the brands, what are some things that you think about that allows you to say, this is who I want to pick? And then the second part of this question is, how do you decide how much someone should be paid for that?
It depends on the creative, the location of the campaign, the timing of the campaign. Does this talent have similar interest in what the campaign entails? So price-wise, it just all depends on fair market value and understanding what people are getting for deals, what different genres of companies are asking for what. If you're in the AI space, you're probably going to get offered a little more because it's a little bit more competitive. If you're in QSR, it all depends on if you want exclusive rights and if you want NIL or not, or how long you want to license that NIL. So there's so many factors and KPIs, but our team internally, we've come up with a formula, and it depends on brand to brand, what their KPIs are. Some go over cost per impression, which is CPI. You try to stay between 1 and 5 cents. That's a good net back out. So, man, I could go for days, but it just, you have a feel for it once you get rolling.
So you kind of have a formula to it. And then you also have obviously the KPIs that come based on your formula. And then you're using a little bit of art, like a little bit of like, is this in the strike zone? Is it not? You've seen a million campaigns, a million. You've seen some flop. You've seen some like just blow the hell up.
Right.
So let's say there's a small business owner right now listening to this, or there's an influencer creator who wants to grow. What advice would you give them based on the success you've seen other people do effectively?
I'd say not all are going to work out.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's okay. It's all about learning and understanding why it didn't work out. But also, are your goals too high? Or have you set the bar at a level up here where it needs to be right here?
Sure.
You got to be honest with yourself. So it all depends, but I'd say it's like any entrepreneur, always learn. It's okay if something doesn't go right.
Yeah.
You can turn it around. There's always tomorrow.
Always.
Just keep perfecting and working at your craft and keeping your team energized.
Just keep hammering. Now, one thing I got to ask you is you're always with someone that I'm like, damn, Cam's with that person. Damn, I feel like people that I'm like, that is pretty cool. How do you build relationships? And then even we'll talk a little bit about some of the businesses you invest in, you own, but how do you build relationships and get into business with people who are like the most highly demanded humans in the world, like a Morgan Wallen or an Alex or some of these people? How do you build these relationships? What's your secret? What's your trading secret?
I have a knack for relationship building, and that's kind of my strong suit. And always want to do right by these guys or girls.
I think that's a good point there too, is like, do right by people and don't be intimidated. Like, they're just people. Like, yes, they're put on this platform all the time, but they're just people. All right, get engaged. I don't know how much you can share. If you can share, we do talk finance on this podcast.
Sure.
Are there any type of numbers or anything connected to a revenue growth, or anything financially driven? You could tell us a little bit about the company.
What I can say is we have grown at least 25% year over year since we started.
Wow. Do you think that this space, like the creator economy, the influencer economy, social media, if you had the crystal ball, do you think that type of growth is going to continue, or do you think there's going to be massive disruption?
I think it is only growing.
Yeah.
Like you said, with AI, that will start blending in.
Yeah.
But you will always need a human element.
Okay.
I think brands will get smarter about the way they spend. I think it's very key and crucial when you do a lot of these talent deals to understand name and likeness, being able to boost content and put paid media behind it. And I feel like content is going to be king and is going to keep going.
Okay. But that's a little secret sauce there, like behind the scenes, like what brands can do to differentiate when they're working with influencers. I get this question a lot, and I know how I answer it. I'm curious how you answer it. People used to spend marketing money, magazines, commercials, billboards. A lot of them now are spending it through digital, like with what you do. I always get the why. What's your answer? Why are they not spending it on there as much, or billboards? Why are they spending it with companies like you?
So don't take this the wrong way, whoever's in that industry.
Sure.
But when's the last time you went to the store and bought a magazine? But how often are you scrolling on your Instagram? All day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the new age. That's where people are. That's where our audience rests. Like, that's why brands are spending there.
Right.
Billboards are still solid. Radio spots are solid. People in their car, but like, this is what people are doing all day. And what content are you going to get that stands out, that stops the scroll? That's why content's king.
Interesting. It makes sense. And I think when you think about the impressions, like think about on the Perplexity campaign, you did 450 million impressions. How many people watch Super Bowl? 150 million. How are you going to get 450 million impressions just from even watching the biggest event in the United States? So it's like the algorithm has set itself up so that people are going to continue to stay on their phones. They're going to interact with ads more. And when you compare it to that, there's just no competing in the space.
No question. And it's a more effective spend, in my opinion, most of the time. You know, we did a Super Bowl digital spot with a talent. With a brand. And I think, you know, for an average spot, don't quote me, it was like 3 to 6 million.
Sure. Yeah. Somewhere around there, right?
And, you know, I think all in, we did this with a bigger impression count, you know, by 2x that a natural spot gets for like 2.5 million.
Wow.
So
that's pretty crazy, especially when you compare the efficiency of that.
And I get the splash of a Super Bowl spot. I'm not hating on that at all. Like some brands, like that's useful. For sure. It's all about that bang. But I just impression wise and impact from what we saw in downloads and signups. I believe that what we did on digital had a better net effect.
When you're looking at brands, do you have certain industries that you're thinking about now that are behind on social media?
I think the airline space needs a little
true.
Reinvention.
I think airline and hotels are like so behind on digital.
So we have Airbnb as a client. So I think they're ahead of the curve, but the traditional hotels aren't. All the time. You know, some are. But I think the candy space could be cool.
I think that makes sense. Like finding industries that are like tired on social and just being like, those are the industries that we can amplify and make the biggest difference.
No question.
Which it's cool that you started with rappers. And now, do you find that there's one specific like niche of, let's call it celebrity or public figures that have the strongest communities?
I don't think there's one that's the strongest. I think the music community, they have their ways and they have their people that get along, and actors and actresses. What I have seen is I believe creators do try to help each other out because that's what they do for a living. That's how they make their money. You know, actors and actresses and athletes, they have a profession. You know, football is what they do every day, or doing a movie is what an actor or an actress does every day. And the brand deals come secondly. So I feel like there's a little bit more collaboration and understanding around our world with creators.
Talk to me about this. What I think is really cool is you got your hands in everything. Like tonight we have an event. We're going to Craig's Nashville. Craig's LA, of course, is the original Craig's where like everyone's been. So we're going to that. And you have the realty. I think you have investment in the Texas Rangers Major League Pickleball team, Outlaw Beer. So tell me a little bit about your investment arm and how you're building equity in some of these companies and just what the companies are, and talk to me about that.
For sure. So naturally with our business, we have our ear to the streets. We understand what's coming up, what's relevant. We've been able to set up an investment arm of Get Engaged that we can either deploy capital or we can do a combination of service exchange plus capital, or however it works out. So that's been great. And then personally, I've set that up as well, you know, launching capital into founder-led brands that impact culture. So Craig's being one of them. Craig and I have been friends for a long time from LA. I would take a lot of business meetings there. We naturally gathered a friendship, and
see, he's friends with everybody. I told you.
So I just felt a lot of passion around Craig's. I've closed a lot of business deals. I just have a lot of history there. So when Craig was talking about coming to Nashville, I was like, man, I would love to be a part. I would love to help bring some of my friends in to invest. You know, I invested personally. And I just felt like Nashville needed Craig's. A family style comfort food atmosphere.
Makes sense. And then when you bring, it seems like you've done such a good job at putting kind of like the spider web or the puzzle together, because when you bring investors into Craig's, I believe what you're also doing are bringing other celebrities and public figures you've worked with before. And now you're providing value to them because they're going to get an investment opportunity into this restaurant, but you're bringing a ton of value to Craig's because they're going to get the public appearance of these celebrities at the restaurant. Is that part of the strategy? It's
all about bringing in the right people that can help move the meter. And at the end of the day, care about the vision and, you know, want to bring their community to Craig's. So, you know, I bring people only opportunities that I invest in or I feel good about. I'm very strategic and smart about what I bring people. Like, for example, Real Tea with Morgan Wallen.
That tea's great, by the way.
An Outlaw.
It's like really good. It's like low sugar too, right?
Yeah,
like,
so it's low sugar, no calories, no carbs. It was, a few years back, I just texted Morgan because he hadn't really done a lot of brand deals at the time. I was just asking him if he liked tea. He grew up liking tea, his grandma made it, etc. So it made sense to pair him with Real Tea, and he's been an excellent ambassador with us. We're gonna have a big 26. That company's rolling. We have awesome operators with Bloden and Lee Fierstein, and the same for Outlaw Beer. They're after the Bud Light stuff came out.
Yeah,
there wasn't a light beer that was America's Next that people could relate to. So we decided to do Outlaw Beer. We brought in Hardy and Co Wetzel, and they're outlaws to the core. So it just made a lot of perfect sense. And it's been fun, man. It's like a puzzle piece on the investment side.
And so it seems like you're finding these gaps, like Real Tea, like tea drinkers, typically it's like super high sugar and it's terrible for you. So you're finding gaps of like, okay, Morgan, you like tea, let's make a healthy tea. Or like a beer company, like there was a marketing collapse, right? So let's go find an opportunity for a marketing opportunity. Is that a lot of your strategy when you're creating these brands?
Exactly. We look at tired spaces.
Tired spaces.
How can we bring in what we do best into a tired space?
We talk a lot about on the show early stage investing, and you take a lot of hits. You try to get a couple singles, one grand slam, and you're gonna have a lot of strikeouts. Correct. Have you had your grand slam yet other than of course Get Engaged as grand slam?
Sure.
But have you had one with an investment into one of these businesses yet?
So I've had Owen that sold and made some money from that, but I don't think we've had our grand slam yet. I feel like over the next 2-3 years with some of these brands that we put money into, we'll be happy campers.
Yeah.
But man, I'm excited about everything. I try to deploy capital, like I said, if I feel really passionate about the brand, and I like to be an active investor. I don't like to just put money in and throw up the peace sign. I want to connect them to different people and make sure my money's working for itself.
Makes sense. I love it. What is the hardest challenge that you're dealing with currently in your industry? In marketing and digital and working with brands and also some of the biggest public figures, what's the hardest challenge you got?
I think at the end of the day, social media is constantly changing.
Constantly.
It really is. There's a new algorithm weekly. There's this, there's that. So I think really understanding where everything's going, being a student of the game. We hire a lot of young people because young people naturally are into social media. Yeah. They're on it. They're in the weeds. So, I credit a lot of what we do to our leadership. We have very strong leadership that has been with us for a good amount of time, and we're constantly evolving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, of all the platforms right now, so there's obviously Snapchat, there's YouTube, there's Instagram, TikTok. People are using LinkedIn now. Where are you seeing the most success with your dollars spent?
Instagram is probably number one.
Interesting. Still, even with the TikTok competition.
I think so. Yeah. TikTok's probably second.
Okay.
But every platform is useful for the audience that it speaks to. But what I've seen lately, for our business and recruiting and the whole 9 yards, LinkedIn is a phenomenal platform that we're really starting to get more involved in. I'm getting involved with it personally. Our company is as well. There's a lot of things you can open up on LinkedIn.
It's great. We just had Remy Bader just came on and she said, I don't respond to anybody's DMs, but if you DM me on LinkedIn, you will always get a response. So I also think accessibility to people, it's easier on LinkedIn, I think, than some of the other areas. And then my other question for you is people are doing their annual reviews. So a lot of people go to their boss to ask for a raise. You guys got 125 people that report up to you. Got a lot of people asking you for raises.
Right.
So what would you give a trading secret to someone? What is a good tip that an employee could come to the boss and ask for a raise? What are things they should do? Give them some advice.
Sure. I mean, we have a rating system within our company that we look at, but if you want to raise within our company, I'd say a presentation on why, what were your wins over the year? Where did you struggle? What resources do you need to make your life and your job more efficient? So just be proactive with it.
Yeah.
We're fair guys at the end of the day, and we'll make that decision. But I'm always a person that says advocate for yourself.
I like it. Come prepared with a presentation. Think about the value you add and put it all on the table.
Right.
If you had to talk to, I want to go back in time. You're sitting here at 2025, 100 plus employees, companies blowing up. You got investments all over. You're working with some of the biggest public figures out there. You go to yourself in 2016 and you would say, don't do this. Like, this is what you did in the last 9 years. There's one learning lesson you would give that kid that started the business in 2016. Don't do this. What would the answer to that be?
I don't think there's a scenario that truthfully sticks out. I think I would just tell myself it's going to be okay. Keep believing in yourself. Stay tight with your team. Keep learning, keep adapting, and you'll be a happy camper.
I love it. All right, let's do a little rapid fire here.
Come on.
What is the biggest dollar amount you've seen a brand spend on an influencer?
There's one talent
Yep.
that I've seen, probably 15 million for a deal.
15 million?
For a deal.
For an influencer deal?
Mm-hmm.
Holy
Well, is a
smokes.
actress.
Yeah, of course.
But
Yeah, obviously at that level.
Yeah.
But damn, all right, there you go.
Uh-huh.
And obviously that includes some kind of social media component of all the public figures and influencers.
By the way, some of this AI space, astronomical numbers going around.
What do you tell me more?
I mean, yeah, 15, 20, but these are year-long deals.
As far as how much they're spending on marketing and advertising.
For one talent. I mean, not all, but like they have their pillar talents, the 1 to 3 talents that they have that are doing out of home and commercials and marketing, but these dollars are significant.
I was in rapid fire mode. The AI is taking me outside of rapid fire mode.
Keep going.
Because I do have a quick question on AI. There's a lot of discussion. If you read the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, New York Post, whatever you read, there's a lot of discussions now about AI and the direction it's going, like it's taking off. And then there are some investors right now that are calling it an AI bubble.
Sure.
I remember the movie The Short. That specific investor, right? He just shorted a lot of AI companies. Right. What's your take on where AI is going?
I think it's real.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah.
The advancements are from where it was 5 years ago to where it is now are astronomical. I mean, I think it keeps going. Now, you'll always need a human element, in my opinion. Sure. Is it going to make some things easier to hire for than others? Sure. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing like this.
Yeah. I agree with that. All right, we're back to rapid fire. So of all the talent that you've worked with, you've done a ton of deals with some big talent. Who is the most creative person that you've worked with?
Most creative. I'd probably say Drewski.
Drewski?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the next one was going to be who's the funniest. So you can't say Drewski. Who's the funniest person you've ever worked with?
It's got to be Theo Vaughn.
Like in person, is he as funny as you would expect?
Absolutely. I mean, he is what he is.
I remember we were at one event. Here's one thing I was blown away by Theo Vaughn. We were at an event for Raising Cane's.
Right.
And there was a lot of people that have done a lot of successful things in this room. He went up to every single person and shook their hand and introduced himself. Every single person. I watched it. Like I was blown away by that.
He's a great dude.
He really is a great dude. Okay, so we got the funniest. We got the most creative. We saw the biggest deal that you've ever done. This is a personal question. What is one thing you spend too much money on? You know you spend too much money on, and you're not going to change it unless you go broke.
I'd say flights.
Flights. All right.
I'd say
what kind
flights.
Of flights we talking?
Honestly, though, like clothes maybe this year.
Yeah.
But I feel like clothes is an investment. I feel like you need to look decent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I'm not really a heavy spender. I'm going to spend on things like I'm building a house right now, but it's going to be a really good investment. I got in at a good time when I bought my lot.
Yeah.
And day one when I moved in, it should be a 3-4x. So like,
sweet.
You know,
yeah.
I feel passionate about spending in areas that will net a good return.
I like it. That's a businessman if I've ever heard one. All right, get engaged. Everything's changing. You said everything's changing.
Right.
That's the only constant in this space. Where do you go from? You have an investment arm, you got a personal investment arm, and then you have get engaged. Where do you go with the business from here? What do you expect? Well, like if we look at get engaged in 10 years from now, what do you think it looks like? What's the dream?
So every day is different when you ask me that question.
Yeah.
But I would say we're growing towards more of a brand incubator.
Okay.
So
cool.
we want to really start to get involved with brands from the ground up, from the conception stage. We want to help raise the capital. We want to, be a part of the whole marketing arm and decision. We want to bring in badass operators that we know and scale brands in tired categories. I think that's where we're moving towards.
Yeah.
Working on our own IP.
Right. Because once you do that and you hit one of these grand slams,
totally,
it's done.
You get it.
Do you have a dream of when you want to be retired by?
I feel like I always need to be doing something. So I don't think I'll ever truly retire, but do I want to slow down and start working towards more charity components and different things? I'd say by 45, 50.
I love it. And do you have a number in your head of like, this is my dream to make this much on an annual basis, or for my company to be worth this much one day?
I don't, because I just have so much fun with the process. It's like a puzzle piece to me. Making money and financial is awesome. Like, don't get me wrong. It gives you a lot of freedom. And when it comes to salary or what I've taken dividend wise, like I've already met those expectations from when I was 18 looking at myself.
When you were 18, what were those expectations?
You wanted to make a certain 7-figure a year, but at the end of the day, if I can look out for a team and I can help people and make an impact on what I like doing every day when I wake up, that's all that matters.
That's pretty cool. Growing a team, growing a business, growing your investment, personal growth, the business growth, it's all happening. It's pretty cool to watch it. We've had the pleasure of working with Get Engaged. Now, we've talked about Super Bowl. We've talked
2 seconds. Can I brag on you real quick?
Yeah, I'll take it.
I will say, I know you've said a lot of awesome things about me and so appreciative, but I want you to look at yourself as well. The fact that you've started an agency, you have this podcast. What are y'all on, episode 400 or 500?
Yeah, we're up there.
You have this team. Like, that's no easy feat, bro. Yeah, so you're in it. Like,
I appreciate that.
And I just wanted to congratulate you, and you can look in the mirror at night saying you're doing some special stuff.
We're doing all right. I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you. Let's end with this. Like, what's your Super Bowl? What's your Grammy? You look at your trophy case. What's that one thing you're like, damn, I can't believe we did that?
As crazy as it sounds, I don't think we've had that moment just yet. I think we've had a lot of amazing wins, but I think the best is yet to come. We haven't won a Cannes Lions yet. I think, that's a goal of ours that we'd like to strive for. And I think we're close. I think we were in the running. I think we're in the top 3 last year for one category. So that's something. There's other different awards and metrics we look at. But at the end of the day, I just get excited about the process.
I think to get to where you've gotten, you have to be excited about the process. And you can't keep looking into all different directions. You have to stay in the weeds.
Right.
And that's how from 2016, you got a company with 125 plus employees. So you haven't hit your Grammy yet because you're in the operations, you're grinding, you're building this business, 100 plus employees. Right. So then I think one of the questions we got to wrap with is, how do you decompress? How do you just live a life that's not always in the weeds? I'm kind of asking for myself here too. So give me some tips.
I feel like this year I've really focused on mental health. It's hard to travel around all the time, be on this plane in this time zone. So I focused on my body a lot. I cold tub, I sauna, I steam, I'll walk, I'll take some breaths, but I've really learned and studied a lot of this biohacking. Oh, wow. So I have a doctor that I go to, and I take some peptides, and I'm actually going to his facility in San Diego. I'm going to do this blood filtering where they take out all the toxins and heavy metals and parasites in your system, and they filter out all the blood in your body and replenish it.
Wow.
And they do stem cells as well. So it's insane. This doctor, his name's David Perez, has been able to do with clients that I know and friends that have gone to him.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally can turn your body clock back years.
Wow. I think I've heard of this guy. He's kind of focused on anti-aging, right?
Anti-aging, but really looking at, autoimmune deficiencies, heavy metals, parasites. Like I said, he's ahead of his time. So I'm actually going for 8 days. So you start in San Diego.
Okay.
And you go to Tijuana for 4 days. Wow. Because the blood filtering is FDA approved over in Mexico, but not here.
You get nervous for that?
Not really, because I've done my research and my study. I've talked to probably 10 people that have been to his facility and gotten an incredible net effect. So we'll see. Once
you do that, we'll have to have you back on. But we got to get your trading secret. So a little bit that we can't learn from a professor. We can't learn from a TikTok tutorial because they're all out there only through your experience. What's a trading secret you could leave us with?
I think at the end of the day, what I do best is relate to people and the relationships I've been able to build. You always deliver for people. You say what you're going to do, you do it. And, it's them before you. You don't really ask a lot. I'm not a big asker of things. I'll ask you when I think it's meaningful for both parties, but I just like to bring value to people and build relationships, connect people, help them. Yeah.
And I think it feels like in your relationship aspect, you're always figuring out, how do I bring value to this person? And inherently you know, you get what you give and it'll come back to you one way or another. So
No
that's the
question.
trading secret I learned from you. Cam, we got to get to Craig's. You got an opening tonight. So we got to go
brother.
party and have a couple drinks.
Can't wait.
So then we can try and detox with biohacking. Where can everyone find everything you have going on? Your handles, all your businesses. Tell me a little bit about it.
So Get Engaged Media is the marketing company, you know, getengagedmedia.com or at Get Engaged on Instagram, and then at Cam Fordham for my personal for Instagram. And I dabble on LinkedIn a little bit. If you want to go to LinkedIn, same thing.
Go to LinkedIn, message them. That's how you'll get a job there. Cam, thank you so much for being on this episode of Trading Secrets.
Man, thanks for having me. It was awesome.